Check 1, 2, 3. Good day, friend. Patriots, lovers of sanity and the like. This is something called Ventilation Friday. It was the chance. It's what I used to do when I was doing terrestrial radio and the like. It was something that was most interesting, most fascinating, something which I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of. This is when terrestrial radio was fascinating, when it was dangerous, when it meant something, when it was critical. It was some of the most important stuff in my life. Conventional radio, terrestrial radio, was rock and roll, and was Bob Grant. Before that, Joe Pine and Rush, and even Stern to an extent. It was really something, and it was great. It was too infrequent. I think, though, now that streaming is going to outdo it, obviously. But like anything else, it's going to have its own rules, its own development. And you will find so interesting how certain things catch on and certain things don't. Certain things will just make sense and certain things won't. It's that simple. It's something I've always enjoyed trying to figure out, kind of as a media analyst of sorts, if that makes any sense to you. Now, what we always like to do too is, in our group, and first of all, let me ask you to please like this. We need your likes more than anything else. Your likes are so critical in getting our word out. Many of you have enjoyed sometimes reading into things and sometimes making them far too complicated, far too meaningful, far too emblematic or representative. But still, I would rather take that than what most people do, and that's just to ignore it altogether. They don't notice anything. They don't notice anything. Nothing. They just, everything is like, oh, okay. And I did a brand new video just now, a brand new one, dealing with something which I find so interesting. And this is the attempt on the part of the, whoever it is, to ban New York City pizza. Now, when you first say this, people will immediately start to react. But they might not want to say, well, why do you think that's important? Why would somebody want to do that? What is the purpose of this? Why would you want to ban New York City pizza? Is this just a... And by the way, it's not to ban it. It's those involved in coal ovens and the like, right? That's the thing. Because coal, of course, is carbon, and carbon is going to kill you. As you know this, right? Carbon is going to kill you. It's going to destroy you. Carbon is the end of civilization as we know it. And in the world of culinary fare, New York is known as, and this is critical, New York is New York, Chicago, Detroit, maybe St. Louis, maybe Memphis, others, but the big pizza towns are New York and Chicago. Those are the main ones. And there's other places too. Pizza is such an important part of our world. We will argue about whether you can put pineapple on it. And they have that perennial pretend story. So what's interesting? Well, if you can take these rules of tyranny, which do not make any mistake, this is precisely what it is. And if you can apply them to something that is loved by someone, that is the essence. For example, if you can ban seafood in San Francisco or in Gulf coasts, ban shrimp or grouper in Florida, do something which was not only a part of the economic mainstay of what you are, but a part of the entire culture, just like July 4th. Wait till you see what happens July 4th. They're going to shut that thing down. You will never hear anyone talk about it in terms of the president. There will be nothing on, no flags for July 4th, nothing. And it's a systematic attempt, not only to destroy our American culture, but another thing too, which is important, to systematically destroy your ability to resist and to create something in which you were habituated to insanity, because that's what it is. We go through things in many, many states. Well, I can't speak for you, but in New York, for example, we remember there was a while back where we had plastic straws. Plastic straws were verboten. You either had that metal straw or you had the cardboard, but that's it. Plastic straws, no good. Plastic straws were the end of civilization, the end of the ocean. Now, where is that ban now? It's gone. Things are back. What happened? I don't know. What happened? Don't know. I don't know. It just went away. See? Now, in New York City, when Rudy Giuliani came along, people don't realize this. New York City has been leading up. Remember, after Rudy was Mike Bloomberg. Bloomberg is one of these globalist folks. He wants to make New York City, or wanted to make it European style. He basically destroyed Times Square. Times Square, you could drive, and he basically asphalted it, and I don't know what the purpose of that was. He put in these things called city bikes, CITI from Citibank, we call them. But there's a word that is referred, it rhymes with city, but it's not city. And they're everywhere, and people are driving around like maniacs. In New York City, it is a complete cluster, people, mopeds, scooters, e-bikes, bikes, people just flying everywhere. And they don't pay any attention to lights and things like that. They just keep, okay, you got that. That's okay. I guess that's European. I'm not sure. But a while back, when Rudy Giuliani came on board, he wanted to do a few things which makes no sense. One of them, believe it or not, has to deal with, because when people get into office, they want to change things. And I did this video, and I forgot to say this. During Rudy, he had this thing where he said, we want people to be nice. And he passed this law, or whatever, this ordinance or this movement, Be Nice, New York. That lasted about 20 minutes. I don't even know what that means. Be nice. What? Then I believe it was Rudy, he wanted to ban jaywalking. Now, jaywalking is crossing anywhere but at the end of the streets. You know, the light. If you've got these long streets that are very narrow, and you could just step out 4, 5, 6 steps, there you are across the street. No, he wants you to walk to the end. It's ridiculous. New York is nothing but jaywalking. He did that for a while. That kind of petered out. Then there were some other things too. Then he did do some good stuff. He got rid of aggressive panhandling and squeegeeing, which I hope you never have. And then Mike Bloomberg came on board. Mike Bloomberg said we want to ban 16-ounce or large sugar drinks. They went crazy with that. I don't even know I don't even know if that even exists anymore. Nobody said, well, what do you mean, ban it? What? Nobody knew what it meant. It was just an example of, I don't care whether you go through with this or not. What I want you to do is I want people to become used to this. I want to habituate people to this. Okay. The thing that was the ultimate, that nobody even remembers, but I do, is Latch On New York. Latch On New York City or Latch On New York or something like that. This is where they had, if you were in a city hospital, New York City hospital, when women give birth, they bring a little goodie bag. You know, it has things like for coupons for diapers or this or that. And they would put in coupons or things for infant formula and whatever it was. Well, they wanted to hide that, and they wanted to encourage breastfeeding. So at City Hospital, it's called Latch On New York, or Operation, I think it's Latch On New York. This is Mayor Bloomberg. He's got so much time, he wants to focus on breastfeeding. Now, breastfeeding makes a lot of sense. Of course, it's wonderful, but wait a minute, the government? This is, you want what? Again, it didn't matter. It was this beginning of the encroachment, the beginning of the blend of all this stuff. Incredible. Incredible. And what's interesting, even more so, what's even more fascinating with all this stuff is that we just didn't say anything. Or we talked about it, complained, but that was about it. But that was the precursor. And the rule you must understand here in this country, in particular, is that when you see something that doesn't make sense, this is just the beginning. This is just to see how you're going to handle things later on. By the way, we need those likes, please. I ask you. Thank you. Hate to be a nudge, but we need the likes tremendously. Now, New York City wants to do a new thing. Wants to ban pizza. Not just ban pizza, coal-fired, wood burning. And like I said, New York pizza is that style. And New York pizza may have started in New York City, Lombardi's, the original pizza place, and it moves on. And pizza has taken on such a style. You have the Naples style, you have this style, you have there is so much pizza in New York City, you cannot believe it. And it better be good, because they're on every corner, and the competition is so stiff. The worst pizza here is the best pizza in many cities. I don't know what it is, people. It's not the water. I don't know what it is. Who knows? Now, they want to ban this. Now, today, as I speak to you in New York City, the skies are orange from this thing called, what's the name of the fires again? The Ring of Fire. Now, we don't know where the Ring of Fire is. If it's from Canada, we're not really sure where it's from. But it's here. And Kathy Hochul, the governor, interestingly enough, predicted it this week. Isn't that interesting? How did that happen? How do you suppose that happened? I don't know. Now, get used to being habituated. Recently, there was a person speaking in New York, who was ran for mayor a couple of times, who actually brought up, this is the new subject, the issue of wanting to absolutely bombard the city with 5G towers. For the first time in I don't know how long, people have been talking about 5G. Everything I've ever said, everything, eventually makes its round, eventually comes around. I've been talking about geoengineering for so long. The subject was pretty much hijacked as chemtrails or something. They would give it a different name, and people would joke, chemtrails, that's a conspiracy theory, that's crazy, I don't know about... No, it's geoengineering. Okay. That's officially here. Just Google geoengineering, and there it is. It's already here. I've been talking about 5G forever. And you knew you were onto something when people said, you're turning this into a conspiracy theory. And why, I have no idea. Why is it a conspiracy theory? I have no earthly idea. But that means you're on the money. You're on the money. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is this thing, this way of looking at the world and the country that nobody else is doing. And it's important and critical that you grasp this, that you see it, and you understand this as well, because this is what people have to understand. They have to see it this way. And that's why, and I still go back, the Bobby Kennedy issues and presidency are without a doubt perfect for what this country needs. However, you are going to learn immediately how human, how not so hot, how maybe crummy, misogynistic, sexist, rude, discourteous Bobby Kennedy is. You get ready for this. They're already doing it. They're going to bring up his wife who committed suicide, and they're going to be intimating that he drove her to it. He doesn't care. His new wife. Just get ready for this. But you're going to have to ask yourself this question. I don't think we're going to find any saints anytime new. But in the meantime, what is it that we're supposed to do when we have somebody who actually is not bad? Not bad in terms of being able to produce. Not bad. Donald Trump was anything but an upstanding, great, lovable, sweet guy. I don't care about his private life. I don't care about it. I mean, within reason, if you don't hurt children or whatever. But he's a billionaire and whatever it is. And they all are. Listen to what they said about Joe Biden. Listen to what Tara Reid said. Nobody cared about that on the Democrat side. So what I'm telling you is get ready for this. Get ready. But what I want you to ask yourself is simply this. Sometimes we need a new change, something drastic, something exceedingly drastic in the world, exceedingly, to change the course of something. And what is important to note, and what is important, and what is critical, and what is absolutely required for you to note is as follows, and this is important. Sometimes there are things that are so... Let me give you an example. I never liked, personally, the music of the Ramones. I was never a Blondie fan. Talking Heads, CBGB's crowd, Iggy Pop. No. I will argue until the end of time that their introduction into music was critical in changing the direction and keeping it moving in the right direction, if that makes sense. Even though I don't particularly like this one, we need something like that. Call it diversity. Call it whatever you want. But I'm just telling you right now, listen to what's happening. Did you see the video of David Spade and Dana Carvey making jokes about Fauci and the vaccine? Wow. Look at what you're seeing. Let me explain something. Years ago, during the various, I don't know what the word is, during the various iterations of the KGB, in order to figure out what the peasants and people were thinking, they would listen to what the jokes were. And they would actually send KGB agents to listen to what people are joking about. What are the jokes? And they would sit around, they would laugh, but the jokes and entertainment tells you where things are going. The 60s and that music, the long hair, the music, when you hear people hearing Jesse Cullen Young and the Youngbloods and everybody get together and love and Woodstock and war, Edwin Starr and the revolution will not be televised. Gil Scott-Heron, if I have my way, I want the world to understand the music of Nick Drake, Gil Scott-Heron, absolutely critical. Nick Drake is so profoundly influential. How nobody knows about him, I have no idea. But Gil Scott-Heron. Listen to what? Lady Day and John Coltrane, The Bottle, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Johannesburg. Wonderful. So, listen to what's going on and watch how more and more people are responding to what the news was and how there's a very, very, very interesting change that's come about now in terms of what is being allowed now and what isn't. Some people are saying that they're allowing more vaccination talk. I don't know. I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't trust that. But keep in mind that the affirmative action vote yesterday by the Supreme Court is so important and so critical. I need to get 200 likes, actually 300, my friend. I really need your help with that. I'm sorry to be a nudge and a fetch and all that, but I really need your help with that. This is what's important. Affirmative action and diversity, but a diversity in particular, is now something that is not just a guide, an aspirational hope, or whatever it is. It is something even more important today. Something even more important. Diversity today is a level of talent and a level of what's the word? It's a goal in and of itself that is only defined by certain people. What kind of diversity? Well, black, white. What about Asian in terms of Ivy League schools? Well, and that was one of the bases of this. You cannot use race and racial discrimination to fight racial discrimination unless you give it a new name and you call it diversity. And then it's okay. Then you're saying, no, this is something that we need. Just like we need a good talent pool, just like we have the high GPA and good reading scores and blah, blah, blah. We need to have this diverse because schools, you will not, if you had medical schools produce nothing but white male doctors, the best, not by design, but if they just so happen to be. Let's say all of the best candidates, where you show up and you think you had a completely blind admissions policy. You had no idea who was showing up. Everybody got a number. Nobody did, essays and things like that, but everybody got a number, and you showed up and you think, oh my God, look at this. They're all white male. If that's the way it is, so be it. So be it. There are some times when you will see in a truly meritocratic system a distribution of demographics that you may not particularly care for. I don't want to keep bringing up the NBA, but it's true. There is something too where you're saying sometimes boxing has a very strong contingent of black and really Latino, Hispanic, because that has always been now a way to get out. And there are socioeconomic reasons. It's not because that Hispanic boxers are better, not necessarily. But life gives you this weird kind of a distribution. And sometimes that distribution is absolutely, positively, either race-based, that's either good, bad, or indifferent. One of the problems when people say, why aren't there, again, I'm laying on sports too much, but why are there so few tennis players who are black compared to the other populations? Why are there so few black golfers? And the reason for it is very, very simple. It's because the facilities that one would normally need to be raised with that, so you can develop skills, tennis courts and golf courses, were not in certain communities. It has nothing to do with the natural prowess of African American. No. Need 300 likes, folks. I'm telling you, try to be a nudge. The affirmative action case is one of the most duplicitous, one of the most dangerous, and the reactions to it are incredible. And as I said yesterday, I'm telling you right now, do not think for a moment that this is over with. Do not think for a moment that you're going to have, there's no more affirmative action. Because they're going to say, we know exactly what's going on. They have been preparing for this since day one. They have been preparing for this. They know exactly what they have to do. Exactly what they have to do. It's not, they know this. And they're going to give it a shot. They're going to see what happens. And they're going to, they're going to see what gives. But you're going to have now, when people sign up, you're going to ask them, please fill out this, write this essay about yourself, about how you fought to overcome something, some particular struggle, what made you better. And if you write, wink, wink, that as a trans woman, a non-binary African-American, there we go. And you're going to say, wait a minute. Isn't that because the old check method of what's your race, what's your gender? No, they're going to say, no. This is merely somebody saying that. And you're going to say, listen, I know what you're doing. You're defeating the purpose of this because you will never get rid of affirmative action. Never. And just as people are interested in changing the dynamics in terms of corporate equity indices and things like that, it doesn't matter. I also want to say something about this, and I'm going to say it because I love to say things that I know you're going to disagree with. It's my nature. And I know you're going to disagree with it because that's the way it is. I feel so sorry, and I'm so concerned for the safety and the emotional and psychological well-being of Dylan Mulvaney. And the reason why is very, very simple. She had no idea what she was getting into. If you think you know trolling, if you think you know what people are capable of in terms of your own life, in terms of your own stalking, whatever it is, you cannot imagine what she has been through. And you might say, well, she knew what she was doing. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. I found the whole notion silly. I understood exactly what was going on, how this one woman has since been removed from Anheuser-Busch. She says, you're going to get rid of this frat world. Okay, fine. But meanwhile, they took this human being named Dylan Mulvaney, put her out there and say, you're going to be the influencer. You're going to draw the heat. And then they just abandoned her. Nobody reached out. Nobody supported her. Nothing. She became the lightning rod of this. Now you're going to say she knew what she was doing. I suggest she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. And I also want to tell you something. Do not lose your soul in this scrum called social media. Do not lose your ability to feel compassion for people because of the social media world. Just like the other day we had these, when the Titan sub happened, people were just brutal, laughing and mocking and just... And I'm fascinated by this in terms of the study and the mentality. But to mock them, well, they were saying, hey, let's put Alito on this. Maybe we can arrange for a trip for... Basically, people are saying it's not so much that people don't like Samuel Alito, whatever. They want to kill him. And this is ha, ha, ha. I read sometimes the media feuds, these false feuds that go on between people, and it's just so ridiculous. I also want you to think about a couple of things. I'm going to say word association. Tucker Carlson. What I've been telling you for the longest time is that you're going to see Tucker Carlson is going to fall into the Jon Stewart phenomenon. Nobody's going to care about Tucker Carlson. Next, Madonna. Madonna. Do you have any idea what the people in the know, what the people who are pretty good at this stuff are saying regarding Madonna, who was selling no tickets, who's, let's face it, she's my age, born in my year and in my month. And she, for some reason, thinks she's going to go out there and do this. Okay, fine. It just so happens that, lo and behold, right around that time that everything was going, she had some other problems. I am telling you, without going into, I don't know anything, I'm not privy to anything, but I don't believe anything I read about any of this stuff. There's one thing that I know for sure. America will believe anything. Anything you put out there. Just say it. Another thing was interesting, and I just want to bring this up and throw it out there just for the sake of whatever. Geraldo Rivera has been, in essence, booted from Fox. They said he was off the 5, but he quit. Prepare to see a revamping of the Republican conservative message into a very, very safe, a very, very non-confrontational, here is the lane. You're allowed to stay in this lane. Tucker Carlson was outside of the lane and changing lanes and whatever. Stick with the Hannity theory. This is his world. Watch what happens. Nothing, no hits, no runs, no errors. Geraldo and others are example. Whether you're left or right, it doesn't matter. It's a revamping, it's a retabling of the news message, if that is. I would bring up the Prigozhin case, but nobody has any clue as to what this means in this country. That's all. Nothing. No one knows anything. No one. It is a complete and total waste of time. Okay? Okay. Now, a favor. I'm going to give you again, this is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. Click on this and it goes right to subscription. You don't have to do anything, just click on this. She's got a brand new video that's going to be posting a little bit on Supreme Court and stalking. The stalking case is one of the most bizarre rulings and holdings I've ever seen. Also, look at how many places are now all of a sudden using the term warriors. The warriors. She's been Lynn's warriors from the get-go. Listen, just pay attention. Not war, warriors. Listen to how many similar-esque type of things are heard of that. That's all. That's all. Think of this. There's a brand new video I just did on the importance of the New York City pizza ban. And it's not because of pizza. It's not about, hey, I like pizza. I like pizza too. Do you like thin crust or thick? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the reason why. And why is the most fascinating. Why tells me everything. So anyway, we'll do that. Have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. per usual. And don't forget these words, as we always say. Per end, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.